Hello and welcome back. This is episode number 5 on a sunny morning. I want to explain. We saw in the fourth episode there was a conversation between Laura and Gonzalo. The conversation between these two was getting better and better, largely due to a pinch of snuff that brought about some kind of a cordial relationship between these two. Gonzalo continues to talk. He continues to talk about his ability to hunt, his ability to compose poems. He continues to talk about the poets he met in the past. He made a mention of quite a few Spanish poets, and he said he met Zorilla, he met Campoamor, and he met some great poets. When he said he met Zorilla, in America, she asked him whether he had been to America. Gonzalo said several times. The first time I went, I was only 6 years old. You must have gone with Columbus in one of his caravels, she said. Whatever Gonzalo said so far is refuted. He is made fun of by Laura. You must have gone with Columbus. Columbus belonged to 15th century. Is Gonzalo that old? He's suggesting that he is very old. So he said he was laughing at that. He did not take it seriously once again. He said, not quite as bad as that. I am old, I admit, but I did not know Ferdinand and Isabella. Ferdinand and Isabella are king and queens of Spain and belong to 14th century, late 14th century. So I'm not that old, he said. Both of them were laughing at this point of time. I was also a great friend of Campoamor. I met him in Valencia. I'm a native of that city, he said. In the flow of conversation, it is happening. In the flow of conversation, Gonzalo keeps talking one or the other thing. He talked about his hunting abilities. He talked about the people he met. He talked about the Spanish writers. He talked about Campoamor. Now he talked about Valencia, their students. Until now, nothing significant happened in the conversation between these two. But the moment he mentioned Valencia, it changes everything. It changes everything in the sense, now they become very alert and now they become very close. I am a native of Valencia, Gonzalo said. You are? She asked. Are you a native of Valencia? Yes, I was brought up there, and there I spent my early youth. Have you ever visited that city? He asked. Yes, Senor. Not far from Valencia, there was a villa that, if it's still there, should retain memories of me. I spent several seasons there. It was many, many years ago. It was near the sea, hidden away from among lemon and orange trees. They called it, let me see, what did they call it? Maricela, she said. Look, the conversation is taking a different shape. For the reason that, for the first time, Laura gave respect to Gonzalo. Yes, senor, she said. Yes, sir. Not far from Valencia, there was a villa that called Maricela. Let me call it, what did they call it? This is all a kind of a drama, you know. Her mental faculties are not unimpaired. She was able to do well. She was able to recall well. And she could think better. Her memory serves her the best. But this is how she pretends to forget and recall. What did they call it? Let me see. What did they call it? Maricela, something like that. Gonzalo was startled, was shocked. There is a feeling of a shock the moment she mentioned Maricela. The moment Valencia was mentioned, the very name that made Laura soft towards Gonzalo. Now, when she mentioned Maricela, that shocked Gonzalo. What is there about these two places then? What is so important about Valencia and Maricela? How these two names of the cities made these people feel shocked. Maricela, is the name familiar to you? When Gonzalo was startled, felt shocked, Laura was made to ask this question. Gonzalo said, yes, yes, very familiar. I know Maricela. If my memory serves me right, for we forget as we grow old, there lived in that villa the most beautiful woman I have ever seen, and I assure you, I have seen many. Let me see, what was her name? Laura Laurent, he said. The moment Laurent name is mentioned, Laura is shocked, startled. This is her turn to be shocked now. She's startled. Laura Laurent? How did you know her? That's what she meant to ask him. Yes, they look at each other intently. For the first time, they look at each other closely. They look at each other keenly. They observe each other. They pay more attention to one another now because they are coming very closer and closer. But you will have more fun and more interesting things that are going to happen from now. You will witness that. Yes, nothing. Laura, recovering herself, said, nothing. You reminded me of my best friend, she said. The moment Maricela Laurent was mentioned, she was shocked and startled. She said, that made her to remember her best friend. Gonzalo said, how strange. It is strange. She was called the Silver Maiden, Laura said. He is talking about a lady, Laura Laurent, that was mentioned by Gonzalo. That lady was called the Silver Maiden. She belonged to Maricela. Precisely, Gonzalo said. Precisely, she was called Silver Maiden. They are talking about somebody now. It is quite common between these two that they know, both of them know this lady. Precisely, the Silver Maiden. By that name, she was known in that locality. I seem to see her as if she were before me now at the window with the red roses. Do you remember that window? Isn't it vague now? Isn't it vague? They are speaking about somebody as if they know them very well, as if they have been the witness of that character together. Isn't it vague to ask like this? What did Gonzalo ask? You know about the Silver Maiden? Do you remember that lady and that window, those roses, red roses? Do you remember that window? What is common here? Why Gonzalo is asking this lady Laura straight away all these things? But Laura seems to acknowledge and responded to him as if he knew everything about it. So she said, yes, I remember. It was the window of her room. She spent many hours there. I mean, in my day. In my day, In Gonzalo's days, this lady spent many hours there, in that room, in that window. Laura, sighing, said, "And in my too." So Laura said this. She spent many hours in her young age too. In my time, when Gonzalo said, in his youth, when he was young. Laura said, when she was young. Gonzalo continues to talk about this lady. See, they are talking something in general in the beginning. You must have witnessed. The conversation between these two was not friendly in the beginning. Whatever Gonzalo said is made fun of by Laura. So he talked about the poets, he talked about his hunting abilities. Just generally, they are beginning to converse. But the conversation now is taking a different shape. The moment he mentioned Valencia and she mentioned Marisela, the Silver Maiden, and they are talking about Silver Maiden, a girl, as if they knew her very well. Interesting, isn't it? Furthermore, Gonzalo began to describe her. She was ideal. Fair as lily, jet black hair and black eyes, with an uncommonly sweet expression. She seemed to cast a radiance wherever she was. Her figure was beautiful, perfect. What forms of sovereign beauty God models in human clay. She was a dream, he said. So overwhelmingly, heartily, he described her. This was a Silver Maiden. These two are talking about who was in Marisela. Laura, within herself, between her teeth, not openly, not loudly, said these things. If you but knew that dream was now by your side, you would realize that what dreams come to. But aloud, she said, she was very unfortunate and had a sad love affair. Dear students, what happened now? The lady Gonzalo is talking about, Laura Laurent, a lady who was seen in the window, who spent her youthful days in Marisela, is none other than Donna Laura, who is sitting by the side of Gonzalo. So she said, Gonzalo described her. So she said, she was a dream girl, he said. So she said, if you but knew that a dream was now by your side, the same lady is sitting beside you now. If the same lady figure was beautiful, perfect, jet black hair and black eyes, uncommonly sweet expression lady is sitting beside you, you would know what happens to beauty after someone reaches or crosses certain age, when they become old. But there is a twist, she said. There was a sad end to the love affair that she had. She is talking about this lady, and more authentically now, as if she knew her very well, because she is talking about herself. So let us see whether Don Gonzalo comes to know this or not, whether he would identify her or not. Let us see whether Laura would identify him or not in our next episode.